Hello and welcome back everybody, and happy Easter for those that celebrate it. Today we're gonna talk about My Hero Academia chapter 268. Quite an action-packed chapter and not much new really happened. It's sort of just kind of built upon what we saw at the end of last chapter with Mirko and Endeavor and everyone else. Like, we don't really see anything else this chapter really. It really does focus more on that part of the raid once again, and we see how Mirko's kick finally connects, to see how Aizawa and President Mike and some other heroes as well actually come in to help out. Really not much to talk about, but the things that I can talk about, quite a few things really did happen, and we got some interesting information or just sort of hints and stuff like that we didn't really have before, I guess, which is really interesting to see. So I want to talk about that a little bit in this review. Now let's start with Mirko, because Mirko's kind of like, as usual, at the center of attention. She's the one who's at the forefront. She's at Shigaraki's capsule thingy, along with Ujiko, of course. I mean, we see how the percentage of Shigaraki's progress is ticking up slowly. We had it at 74, then we see it go up to 75% this chapter. And I think that we pretty much know at this point that Shigaraki is gonna wake up. Like, their whole goal at the moment is, of course, to prevent that from happening, but I really don't think that's going to be prevented altogether. Like, he might not be as strong when he comes out as he was intended to be, but it's still gonna be pretty fucking strong enough, I think, to really deal with the heroes that is going to be presented before him. Some of them may evacuate, of course, but Shigaraki is not going to be the one to evacuate, in my opinion. Like, this is Shigaraki's rise, not his descent. He's not supposed to go down, he's supposed to be going upward from this point in terms of power and just influence all over the country. These sort of things is what we expect from Shigaraki in an arc like this one. So with Mirko, we really see how she becomes a lot more aware of Shigaraki's threat, because she even points out that her rabbit senses or intuition, whatever you want to call it, like her instincts, are kicking in and telling her that Shigaraki is a big problem and he is someone that needs to be dealt with as a top priority. Like, there is not a bigger threat at the moment than Shigaraki is to her, and having Mirko, someone who values strength a lot, say that definitely means that he is a big problem, more so than he has ever been before, which really tell us readers something, because even before this whole experiment on Shigaraki, he was a beast to deal with. Like, during My Villain Academia, he was doing some crazy damage, but that was just only his regular self. Right now we're dealing with someone that has been boosted and tinkered with in who knows what way. Like, he might be getting multiple quirks, we might be dealing with seeing just an increase in power with the quirks he already have. Like, we don't really know what to expect from Shigaraki going forward when he wakes up. And we do see Shigaraki kind of grin at Mirko as she kicks the capsule thingy that he's in, which means that he's obviously not afraid of what's going to happen. He's fully aware, or at least sort of sub-aware, I guess you could call it. Like, he might not be fully awake, but he's sort of aware that something is going on outside. Call it an instinct as well. I found that to be quite interesting regarding the whole Mirko and Shigaraki situation, and obviously the meter is at 75% at the moment. I don't think it's gonna go up to 100 before he comes out, but I do think it might keep going to maybe 80% before he's actually released, giving him 80% of the initial boost that he was supposed to get, which is still a pretty fucking significant number, let's be real. One thing that I kind of want to talk about is one of the Nomus. I think it's the female Nomu. The reason I found this Nomu to be really interesting is because it seems to kind of be able to observe what quirks the other heroes are having, which displays an abnormal amount of intelligence. I mean, we knew that the Hyans had some higher intelligence than your average Nomu, of course, but I didn't really think, that they would be that clever, considering they seemed to have some kind of speaking issue. Like, they didn't really seem to be able to speak like your average person, obviously. I mean, they're not average people, so I didn't expect that, but their cognitive ability seems to be a lot higher than I personally initially thought, which is why I kind of reacted at the fact that he was able to pinpoint all of the heroes' quirks, and then he obviously points out that someone needs to have an erasure quirk. That's how they kind of display it to us, like they're listing off the people in order to find who has the erasing quirk, which then happens to be Aizawa, of course, since he was the one who erased quirks in order for the other heroes to be able to do a lot more damage. So I really found that to be interesting interesting how this high-end Nomu had such a high intelligence point where it was able to really think that strategically, like being able to list off people, find who has what quirk, and then through process of elimination find who this Nomu wants to kill the most. In this case, it's looking like it's gonna be Aizawa who's next on the list for this Nomu, but I guess we're gonna have to find out. It doesn't really look super bright. I mean, I don't think Aizawa's gonna die or anything because he's my favorite teacher of UA. I don't see that happening. He might get injured though. I mean, this is a raid. I mean, I definitely see some of these heroes getting hurt, but I don't think Aizawa's gonna die. In fact, I don't even know if I see any of these people dying really, unless of course it's by Shigaraki, in which case it's very likely, but not by these Nomus necessarily, because Endeavor seems to have a pretty good grasp of dealing with them when he's actually trying to kill them, and not like with Hood where he was trying to restrain it and actually capture it first, causing him to take massive damage. Not to mention that these aren't like fully calibrated, so they're not at the same level as Hood to begin with, but at the same time, Nomus, as always, can be very unpredictable, so anything can happen from this point. And looking at the end of this chapter, it's looking like we're gonna get some big moments from Aizawa and President Mike, given the final panel where we see the two of them kind of standing in a standalone panel, not really showing any of the other heroes. So I think that kind of points to them being significant next chapter, which I'm really curious to see actually. I want to see what they're going to offer in this raid, because obviously Aizawa has the erasure quirk, whereas President Mike has, well, he has his voice, you know, he's a really loud motherfucker. Anyway, I'm gonna end the review here. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. What did you think of this chapter? Personally, I definitely see Mirko dying at this point in time when Shigaraki wakes up and breaks out of this capsule, taking her out immediately. But apart from that, I'm not really sure what I should be expecting from the other parts of this chapter with Aizawa and President Mike, for instance. I really don't know exactly what's gonna happen there, since none of them are really that action oriented. Like, they don't have as much of an advantage in a fight as someone like Endeavor, for instance, or someone like Mirko. They would not really stand as good of a chance against the high end on their own as they would, which is why I'm really curious to see exactly what's going to unfold here, unless we're just gonna get to see a different perspective going into next chapter, which I don't really see just yet, considering the whole Aizawa and President Mike panel. But hey, who knows? Anyway, if you did, be sure to Detroit smash that like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. This has been Chaotic Plus, and remember, Mirko is waifu, Toga is laifu.